When I look around this room, I see faces full of stories. Every one of you has been through something, a challenge, a moment where the world felt unfair, a time when life tested your patience, your heart, maybe even your hope. Some of you are going through it right now. And in those moments, when pressure rises and tempers flare, you have two choices. You can let your emotions control you, or you can train your mind to stay calm. Now, staying calm doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you ignore injustice or avoid hard decisions. Staying calm means you choose not to let chaos inside you while chaos is happening around you. It means you master yourself before you try to master the world. And that, my friends, is one of the greatest powers you will ever have. I've spent my life in courtrooms, face to face with people in trouble. I've seen anger boil over. I've seen fear turn into tears. I've seen frustration turn good people bitter. But I've also seen something else. I've seen people who, no matter what burden they were carrying, no matter how heavy the moment, stood there calm, collected, steady as a rock. And do you know what happens when you stay calm under pressure? People listen. People respect you. Even your enemies pause. Calmness is strength. The truth is, nobody is born with this ability. You train it. Just like a muscle, just like discipline, just like courage, you learn to control your breathing. You learn to pause before you speak. You learn to hear the tone of your own voice when it starts to rise and bring it back down. You learn to ask yourself one simple question when everything feels like it's falling apart. What's the best thing I can do right now if I keep my cool? And you'll be amazed at how much better your decisions become when they're not soaked in anger or fear. I remember once a young man came before me, furious about a ticket. He said the officer was wrong, the city was wrong, the whole system was wrong. He wouldn't let me speak. He was shouting, waving his arms, ready to explode. When he finally took a breath, I looked at him and said, "Son, do you want to be right, or do you want to be heard?" He stopped cold, because the truth is, you can't be heard if no one can stand to listen to you. And you can't earn respect if you lose control of yourself. Calmness gives you clarity. It lets you see solutions that anger hides from you. When you're calm, you don't swing at every pitch life throws at you. You wait for the right one. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop living on impulse and start living with intention. That's how you win. Not by shouting the loudest, not by pushing the hardest, by thinking clearly while everyone else is losing their heads. The world will always test you. Someone will cut you off in traffic. Someone will insult you for no reason. A deal will fall apart. A friend will betray you. You will face loss, pain, unfairness. But if you let every storm outside create a storm inside, you will live your whole life at war with yourself. Train your mind to be calm, and you will carry peace wherever you go, not because the world is peaceful, but because you are. And here's the thing, calmness is contagious. When you walk into a room angry, you spread anger. When you walk into a room panicked, you spread panic. But when you walk into a room calm, you steady everyone else. People will look to you in crisis because you have the one thing they need: presence of mind. They'll say, if he's calm, we're safe. If she's calm, we'll figure it out. That is leadership. That is power without force. But it takes practice. It means catching yourself before your voice rises. It means refusing to answer every insult. It means walking away from fights that don't deserve your energy. It means training your thoughts every single day. You can't wait until the fire starts to learn how to hold the hose. You prepare now, so when the pressure comes, you're ready. I'll tell you another story. A woman came before me crying because she couldn't pay a fine. She was embarrassed. She was scared. The easy thing for me would have been to raise my voice, lecture her, make her feel worse. But I took a breath, stayed calm, and listened. I learned she was caring for 2 sick children, working 2 jobs, barely keeping her head above water. I reduced her fine. Why? Because when you're calm, you can see people for who they really are, not just what they did wrong. And when people feel that calmness from you, they calm down too. The world doesn't need more people who can yell louder. It doesn't need more people who can push harder. It needs people who can stay steady when everything shakes. People who can listen before they judge. People who can think when everyone else panics. You don't need to control every situation. You only need to control yourself. And don't fool yourself. Calmness isn't something you just have. It's something you train. It's a discipline. It's choosing every day to slow down your breathing, to count to 3 before you react, to remind yourself that anger will not solve the problem, fear will not solve the problem, shouting will not solve the problem. Only clear thinking and steady hands will. So when life tests you, and it will, remember this: no matter how fast your heart is beating, you can slow it down. No matter how loud someone yells, you can lower your voice. No matter how unfair life feels, you can still choose your response. You can always choose calm. ChatGPT said, character is one of those words we throw around easily, but it's far deeper than most people realize. Everyone wants to be known as a person of character. Everyone wants to wear that badge of honor. But here's the truth: real character isn't what you show when the cameras are on you, when your boss is checking in, or when applause is waiting at the end of the performance. Real character is proven in the quiet moments, when no one sees what you do, no one hears what you say, and no one will ever find out. If you choose the easy way over the right way, when you're in a crowded room, it's easy to look honest, hardworking, respectful. You know eyes are on you. You know someone's paying attention. But who are you when you're alone? When you could take a shortcut and no one would ever know? When you could lie just a little and there's no one there to check the facts? When you could mistreat someone weaker because nobody will ever hear them cry out? That's when your true character is revealed. And make no mistake, those moments define your life more than any speech, any award, or any public recognition ever could. We live in a world obsessed with image. People spend more time polishing their reputation than building their character. They work harder to look good than to actually be good. But reputation is what people think you are. Character is what you really are. Reputation is fragile because it belongs to others. They can build it up. They can tear it down. Character is unshakable because it belongs to you. It's the sum of your quiet choices, your private battles, your unseen sacrifices. Think about the small decisions you make daily. No one is there when you decide whether to tell the truth on a form, whether to give back extra change the cashier mistakenly gave you, whether to shut off your phone and spend time with your family, whether to honor a commitment that no one will check on. Those small moments shape the kind of person you really are. And the funny thing about character is, even though no one else may see what you do in private, the effects of those choices eventually show up in public. If you cut corners when no one's watching, it becomes a habit, and eventually it will cost you. If you stay honest when no one's looking, that becomes your instinct. And one day, when you're tested under bright lights, you'll stand strong without even thinking about it. A person of true character doesn't need an audience to do the right thing. They don't need praise to stay disciplined. They don't need fear of punishment to stay honest. They choose what's right because it's right, not because it's popular or profitable. They live by principles, not by convenience, and that is rare because it requires courage. It's easy to play the part of a good person when you're being watched, but it takes real strength to live with integrity when the world isn't clapping for you. History is full of people who look like heroes in public, but were rotten in private. And it's also full of quiet men and women whose names you'll never know, who changed the lives around them simply by living with character in the shadows. You might not make headlines by being honest, by working hard, by keeping your word, by treating others with respect when you could take advantage. But you build something far greater than fame. You build trust. You build a life that doesn't fall apart the moment someone looks too closely. Character is proven in how you treat people who can't help you. It's proven in how you handle power when you finally have it. It's proven in whether you return kindness with kindness or betrayal with revenge. It's proven when you could cheat and win, but you refuse because you value your soul more than a trophy. It's proven when you could stay silent about injustice But you speak up because your conscience won't let you stay quiet. The world constantly tempts you to compromise when nobody's looking. But every time you stand firm in private, you get stronger. Every time you refuse to take the easy road, you build a backbone that nothing can bend later. And one day, you'll face a moment when everyone is watching, when the pressure is on, and you won't have to fake integrity. You won't have to pretend to be brave. You won't have to scramble to do the right thing. You'll just do it. Because that's who you are, forged in all those unseen moments. The truth is, character is built in silence. It's built when you choose to study, when no one's forcing you, when you train even though no one's cheering, when you save money even though no one's praising your discipline, when you forgive even though no one's rewarding your mercy. Those private victories are the foundation of public strength. The greatest test of character isn't how you act when you're being applauded. It's how you act when no one cares. When the work is boring, when the struggle feels thankless, when the temptation to quit is whispering in your ear, and no one would blame you if you gave up. What you choose in that moment writes the real story of your life. So, ask yourself, what do you do when no one's watching? Do you keep your promises when they're inconvenient? Do you work as hard when your boss isn't looking? Do you show kindness to people who can't repay you? Do you take responsibility when you could shift the blame? These are the questions that define character. Not what you post online, not how many people like you, not how loudly you talk about your values. Character is proven in the quiet, in the dark, when no applause is coming and no reward is guaranteed. The good news is, character isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you choose every day. It's shaped by thousands of small, invisible decisions. And the more you choose integrity in private, the more unstoppable you become in public. Because one day, when your reputation is tested, when life tries to break you, you won't have to scramble to act like a good person. You'll simply be one. Promise you must keep is to yourself. ChatGPT said, the first promise you must keep is to yourself. It sounds simple, almost too obvious, but it's one of the hardest truths to live by. Most people spend their lives trying to keep promises to others. Their family, their boss, their friends, even strangers whose opinions don't matter. And they completely forget the first person they owe anything to themselves. You wake up every day with yourself. You go to sleep every night with yourself. And no matter how much you try to run from it, you carry yourself into every situation, every relationship, every success, every failure. If you don't learn to honor your own word, your life will always feel unsteady, because deep down, you will never trust yourself. Think about how many times you've said, tomorrow I'll start eating better, or next week I'll save money, or I'll wake up early and work on that dream project. And then when tomorrow comes, you make excuses, push it aside, tell yourself you'll start later. What happens over time is more dangerous than you realize. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you teach yourself that your word doesn't mean much. You train your own mind to doubt you. You become your own unreliable friend. So even when you finally decide to get serious about something, there's a voice inside whispering, "Yeah, sure, you said that before. You won't follow through." That inner doubt is what sabotages so many people. When you keep promises to yourself, something powerful happens. Your confidence doesn't come from hype. It doesn't come from someone else telling you you're great. It comes from proof. Proof that when you say you'll do something, you do it. It's like laying bricks. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you lay another brick of self-trust, and over time you build an unshakable wall. People who seem calm under pressure, people who stay consistent, no matter what happens around them, they're not lucky. They're just living on a foundation of promises kept. Keeping promises to yourself isn't about perfection. It's about respect. If you promised a friend you'd meet them for lunch, you do everything you could not to let them down. So why do you cancel on yourself so easily? Why do you treat your own goals like they're optional? If you truly respected yourself, your own commitments would matter just as much as anything you promise to someone else. Life has a way of testing whether you're serious about what you say you want. You might promise yourself to get fit, and suddenly you'll face long work hours, bad weather, no energy. You might promise to save money, and then something tempting will go on sale. You might promise to build a business, and everything will seem to go wrong at the start. In those moments, you're not just proving how badly you want it. You're proving whether your word to yourself actually means something. The first promise you must keep to yourself is honesty. Stop lying to yourself about what you're willing to do and what you're not. Don't say you'll wake up at 5 a.m. if you know you won't. Don't say you'll read a book every week if you haven't finished one in a year. Start with promises you can actually keep, no matter how small. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Save $5 a day. Walk for 10 minutes. Do that consistently, and then build from there. Keeping small promises builds momentum, and momentum is everything. Another promise to yourself is that you won't quit just because it gets hard. People break this promise constantly. They start something with enthusiasm, but the moment the excitement fades and effort is required, they give up. If you promised yourself you'd write a book, write it even when the words come slow. If you promised yourself you'd start a business, keep pushing even when no one believes in you yet. If you promised yourself you'd change your life, honor that promise even when you're tired and no one is cheering you on. Keeping promises to yourself also means protecting your own well-being. Don't promise yourself you'll rest and then work yourself to exhaustion. Don't promise you'll set boundaries and then let people walk all over you. Don't promise you'll stay true to your values and then sell out the moment temptation shows up. Every time you betray yourself, you chip away at your own strength. But every time you stand firm, you become stronger than before. This is why some people are magnetic. They don't just talk about what they'll do, they actually do it. And people can feel that. When you keep promises to yourself, you carry yourself differently. Your handshake is firmer. Your voice is steadier. Your presence commands respect without you asking for it, because deep down you know you can rely on yourself. There's another side to this. If you can't keep promises to yourself, you'll struggle to keep them to anyone else. How can you lead a team if you can't even lead yourself? How can you build trust in relationships if you can't trust your own word? It all starts internally. Once you learn to honor your own commitments, honoring commitments to others becomes natural because it's no longer about fear of punishment or desire for approval. It's about living as someone whose word actually means something. Keeping promises to yourself is an act of discipline, and discipline is freedom. People think discipline is chains, that it's restrictive, that it kills joy. But real discipline liberates you because it removes the chaos of indecision. You no longer spend energy debating whether you'll do the thing you said you'd do. You just do it. And that consistency compounds over time, creating opportunities, building character, and earning respect. Ask yourself this: if you were someone else, would you trust you? Would you trust the way you handle money, the way you keep your schedule, the way you follow through? If not, it's time to start rebuilding that trust. And it starts with one simple thing: keeping one promise to yourself today, not tomorrow. Today. Something small, and then do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. Over time, those little promises add up to something unshakable. When life gets tough, and it will, the only person guaranteed to be there in the fight with you is yourself. If you spent years breaking promises to yourself, you'll feel weak, unsure, full of doubt. But if you've spent years keeping your word, you'll stand strong because you'll know from experience that you can rely on you. That's the kind of confidence no one can give you and no one can take away. Keeping promises to yourself will cost you. It will cost you comfort, excuses, temporary pleasures, but it will give you something far greater: strength, clarity, and a life built on solid ground. And if you fail sometimes, don't use it as an excuse to quit. Just start again immediately. Rebuild the trust. Refuse to let yourself down. Because when your word to yourself becomes law, everything else in life becomes possible. Respect is rented daily, never owned. That's something people forget as soon as they feel like they've made it. They get the promotion, they win the award, they finally get the applause, and they think that's it. They've arrived, they're set for life. But respect doesn't work like a trophy you put on a shelf. It's not a permanent possession. It's a lease you have to pay on time, every single day, through your actions, through your consistency, through the way you treat people when no one is watching and nothing is at stake. People confuse fame with respect. They confuse power with respect. They even confuse fear with respect. But fear isn't respect. People might obey you if they're scared. They might flatter you when they need something from you, but deep down they don't respect you. They're just tolerating you until they have a chance to walk away. True respect can't be forced, and it can't be faked. It's earned through character, and character has to be proven over and over again. Think about the people you really respect in life, not the ones who look impressive on paper, but the ones you would trust in a crisis, the ones whose word actually means something. Chances are it's not because of their title, their wealth, or their status. It's because they show up every day with integrity. They don't have to tell you who they are. You know who they are because they live it. They make the payment on that. Respect leads through reliability, humility, and strength of character. The danger comes when you think you paid that bill once and you're done. You see it happen all the time with athletes, politicians, business leaders, even ordinary people who get a little recognition. They work hard for years, they build a name, and the moment people start praising them, they get sloppy, they cut corners, they treat people poorly, they think past achievements will carry them forever. And just like that, they lose the very respect they spent a lifetime earning. Respect has no memory. Yesterday's victories don't excuse today's failures. You can be admired for decades and lose it all with one act of arrogance, one betrayal, one refusal to take responsibility. That's why respect is rented daily, because every new day asks the same question: are you still the person we thought you were? And if the answer is no, the rent goes unpaid and the respect disappears. This truth should make you humble, but it should also make you focused. If you wake up every day knowing you have to earn respect again, you won't take shortcuts. You won't assume people owe you anything. You'll treat others right, even when they have nothing to offer you. You'll hold yourself to the same standard in private that you project in public. Look at people who quietly command respect without even asking for it. They're not shouting about how great they are. They're not demanding applause. They're too busy doing the work, keeping their word, staying steady. They understand that credibility isn't built on speeches, it's built on proof, and proof requires consistency. Respect also has layers. There's the respect you earn from strangers, which is surface level. There's the respect you earn from colleagues, which is a bit deeper. And then there's the respect you earn from the people who really know you, your family, your close friends, the people who see you when you're tired, frustrated, not performing for an audience. That last one is the hardest to earn because you can't fake it. You might fool the world for a while, but you can't fool the people who see you up close. If they respect you, it's because you truly live by your principles, not because of what you say about yourself. Another thing about respect, it's not transferable. You can't inherit it. You can't buy it. You can't borrow it. You might ride on someone else's reputation for a little while, but eventually life will test you personally, and you'll have to prove you deserve it. Your last name might open a door, your connections might get you in the room, but once you're there, your own character has to pay the rent. There's also a trap people fall into, thinking that once they reach a certain level, they no longer have to earn respect from ordinary people. They think respect flows only one way, from the bottom up. But the truth is, how you treat people who can do nothing for you says more about your character than how you treat those who can advance your career. The waiter, the janitor, the driver, the assistant, they notice whether you pay that rent or not, and word spreads. To live as someone who earns respect daily, you have to set standards for yourself higher than anyone else would set for you. You don't do the right thing because you're being watched. You do the right thing because you won't allow yourself to do otherwise. You make decisions as if every moment is an audition for the kind of person you claim to be, because it is. Paying that rent also requires humility. If you think you've arrived, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start decaying. People respect those who are willing to keep learning, who admit when they're wrong, who don't let pride blind them. They respect those who have strength without arrogance, confidence without ego. And here's the most sobering part: respect can't be stored up. You can't stockpile it and use it later. You have to keep earning it, even when no one seems to notice. Because the day will come when people are watching, when your decisions are on display, and if you've been living with integrity all along, you won't have to scramble to prove yourself. You'll just do what you always do, and people will see it for themselves. So you have a choice every morning. Will you pay the rent today? Will you live in a way that deserves respect? Or will you coast on yesterday's credit and hope no one notices you've stopped trying? That's what separates people whose respect lasts from those who lose it the moment circumstances change. The rent is due whether you feel like paying it or not. It's due when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you think no one's keeping track, but someone always is, and that someone is you. Because deep down, you know if you're living up to your own standards. And if you're not, That lack of respect for yourself will eventually show up in how others see you. Respect is rented daily, and the payment is made through honesty, through discipline, through showing up and doing the right thing when it's hard, not just when it's easy. It's made through the way you speak to people, the way you keep your word, the way you hold yourself accountable when no one else does. Every decision you make is either paying that rent or skipping it. And skip payments always come due.